everybody. It's the real Pat, man. I said a couple of days ago that I was going to make a quick video talking about the salary cap situation for the Falcons over the next couple of years. And that's what I'm doing now. So to aid me in giving you guys this video, I'm using overthecap.com, my personal recommendation for anything related to the salary cap that you guys might be looking at. So over the cap is interesting, man, because they have a calculator feature, right? That allows you to manipulate a cap and stuff like that. So, just kind of a little backstory, man. I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but the Atlanta Falcons are making changes, right? They just recently fired head coach Dan Quinn and general manager Thomas Dimitroff. So, obviously, we're going to get a new GM. There's going to be a new head coach hiring. There's going to be some changes to the roster. But one hot topic in debate has been Matt Ryan. There's folks saying that we should trade him, draft a quarterback with the first round pick, trade Julio, this, that, and the third. So I'm here today to kind of clear up some misconceptions about the cap and kind of some things you can and cannot do. So one thing, like I say, that I like using is the Overcap Calculator feature because, again, it allows you to manipulate the cap. It allows you to kind of play with it a little bit, just kind of see plug and play contracts or whatnot, seeing what you can do with the cap. So we're going to 2020, and I'm gonna kind of explain how this works. So, not to assault anybody's intelligence, but this number here, right? This is how much cap you have, right? And you get this number here by basically taking pretty much the salary cap here, which is what the league sets every single year based off of how much revenue the league makes and whatnot, and your total liabilities. And your total liabilities, if you're looking at all of the players on the contract, that 199 million number, we go to 2020 is right here. All right, those are your total liabilities. Basically, the sum of your caps, your cap numbers, pretty much. So, just to kind of explain cap and whatnot, it's basically your base salary here, right? Plus any kind of prorated bonuses, roster bonuses, workout bonus, whatever the case may be. All these numbers combined form a cap, right? And then the sum of those caps is this liability number right here. Boom. And then obviously that number gets plugged in right here. Subtract this number from this number, you get this. All right. Easy as explanation that I could give, right? So I'm gonna just kind of run through some stuff, man. She's talking about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is an interesting topic, and he's interesting for the simple fact that uh, a lot of people don't know when you can move on from Matt Ryan. So I'm just kind of explain how my personal feelings about the situation. I think Matt Ryan pretty much controls his own destiny. If I'm the new coaching staff, front office executive that comes in here to run this organization, and I end up with, say, the number 3 pick in the draft, I'm still going to draft a quarterback. And the reason why I'm going to draft a quarterback is it gives you flexibility as an organization. So what I mean by that is, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you see Matt Ryan on a downward trend to a point where you pretty much have to run your offense mostly through your running game, right? And you get to the point where your quarterback is no longer performing at a level that's basically going to get the job done. He's pretty much relegated to being a game manager. That in and of itself is going to limit the possible how good possibly your offense can be, if that makes sense, right? So as long as Matt Ryan is performing at a high level, the Falcons offense should be good as long as there's a competent play caller in there, that's drawing up concepts and there's not a ton of mistakes and whatnot. The Falcons offense should be perfectly fine for the next couple of years. But then again, you kind of run the risk again if you kind of kick that can down the road where you don't know when Matt Ryan is going to, start to really, really decline. I mean, this year has been a pretty bad year. I mean, statistically, it's been a really rough year for him. You don't know if this is just an anomaly, if he's going to bounce back from this. And that's a hard sell for a new front office / coaching staff. You know what I'm saying? So this right here is just flexibility, but it's also an insurance policy in case Matt Ryan does start teetering off a little bit. Now you can kind of usher in the next era without basically losing Matt Ryan, drafting the quarterback the next year, and then trying to figure it out from there, which we see teams do all the time and they fail at it. Um, Another benefit is it gives your young quarterback a couple of years to sit behind number two and thus kind of learning how to be a professional football player as well, which is also going to be something that a lot of quarterbacks don't get the benefit of. Uh, that's why you see a lot of teams around the league when they typically draft these young quarterbacks. They'll sit up there and they'll bring in a veteran guy like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or a Tyrod Taylor type of guy, and they'll get those guys the keys initially to try to slowly bring that rookie along. They don't necessarily want that guy to come in there, day one, happen to be the guy pretty much. So let's get into this real quick. So one thing you'll notice, right, about over the cap, they don't carry cap numbers from year to year. Right. So let me explain what that means. Whatever you don't spend this year gets rolled over to the next year. And let me show you what I mean, right? So you look at 2021, we're over the cap $27 million, right? So you can look at the total liabilities, boom, and see right here, and you can go down here and compare. Let me scroll up. 203,285, 203,285. Boom. Right? So over the cap doesn't roll over cap numbers. Meaning, so this right here hypothetically is over $27 million. If we don't spend a single ounce of cap, which we're going to spend cap, whatever's remaining gets added to this. You see what I'm saying? So why is that important? There has been talk of potentially trying to move some contracts this year for a lot of players that may have value to gain assets. One player in particular is the center Alex Mack. Right now, he's about the only Falcon that you could move and reasonably get some type of cap relief and or some type of asset for. Tack is another guy, but he can't stay healthy, so I don't know what his value is right now. Other than that, man, I mean, I don't really see anybody else on this roster that you could really trade to gain any type of real advantage. Get like a super asset. You're not trading Matt Ryan. The cap hit is the dead money hit is too big, and we can't absorb that this year. So let's say hypothetically they want to roll with Matt Hennessy, the center of the future. So they're going to trade Alex Mack. Now I'm going to trade Mack, but understand that we've already played 5 games, so you're not going to get this full $8 million in cap savings. I forget what the number is for Mac. That's already prorated, but I don't believe it's going to be $8 million. He's already played 5 games. I think it'll be something on the lines of like $6 million, I believe, that you're going to get from him. But we're just going to play with the 8 million just for the sake of making things on screen easier. So we're going to trade Alex Mack this year, right? Boom. You see what happens? Now I'm up to $10 million in cap room for this year. Plug in Hennessy. He's your guy of the future. All right, we're gonna keep him moving. All right. So going into 2021, right? The Falcons, the whoever inherits this team is gonna have to make a decision, right, on who they view or value as gonna be the future of the team, right? And for me, two guys off the back that are futures is Jake Matthews and Grady Jarrett. So I would have 100% max restructure both of those guys. I would max restructure Grady Jarrett. Like I said, you could even extend Grady Jarrett out if you want to. It doesn't even really matter. But for this, we're just going to max restructure those guys, right? Then we're going to do the routine cuts. Ricardo Allen, I know everybody loves him. He's going to get cut. He's going to be a cap casualty. The player, the performance, his salary doesn't match what should be. And I think a new coaching staff is going to see that as well. And they're going to start flushing a lot of these contracts out. We're going to take Mr. James Carpenter. We're going to designate him as a June 1 cut because why not? And we're going to cut the great Alan Bailey. All right. Boom. So now all of a sudden, I'm sitting at $4.75 million, right? Really, realistically, let's just say hypothetically, we end up with $8 million at the end of the season. We traded Mac and whatnot. So this number right here really truly is around $12 million if you think about it, because again, they don't roll over cap on the calculator. You see what I'm saying? So another thing that you could also do, depending upon Matt Ryan's performance, you can restructure Matt Ryan as well, right? You don't have to do a max restructure of Matt Ryan. You know what I mean? You could just, we could hypothetically restructure, I don't know, $14 million in Matt Ryan's base salary. It doesn't have to be a max restructure. So let's say hypothetically, Matt Ryan's a good dude. We restructure, let's say, $14 million of his base salary. Let's make sure I get enough zeros in there. 3. All right, cool. We're good. $14 million. Boom. So that's gonna drop his cap number down from $40 million to $31 million. Push a little bit of that, cap into the future a little bit. And we can kind of roll with that. One contract I would not touch, however, is Julio Jones. And I'll explain why. I think next year is probably going to be Julio's last year. When you factor in the age and factor in wear and tear and stuff like that, I don't think Julio Jones is really going to be in the future plans for the team. And also, it kind of coincides with this man, Calvin Ridley, who will be in year 4 next year. So you're going to come up with a situation where either you're going to exercise his 5th-year option or you're going to extend him, right? Because the rules for the 5th-year option are now different than they were in past years. Now the 5th-year option, depending upon a player's performance, can be as high as a franchise tag. The Falcons are not going to carry, let's just say Ridley does finish over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns this year, or next year, I'm sorry. The Falcons aren't going to want to roll into 2022 with Julio Jones's numbers on the books, as well as trying to pay this man what the franchise would be. I think for wide receivers, it's definitely north of $18 million next by the time this rolls around. That's too much money into 2 wide receivers. All right, so they have a decision to make there. So you're just kind of looking at it just from a pretty simple restructure of Matt, Grady, Jake. I'm already up to, I got $14 million here. Whatever I have for this year after trading Mac. So right now I'm looking at probably around $22 million in cap room. And that's enough cap, man, to take care of your team, sign your draft class. Maybe you bring back a couple of these guys that are your free agents. Maybe you bring back a guy like Bleeding Red Wilson. Maybe they want to bring back Darquez Denard, Stephen Means, where the case may be. I don't think a lot of these guys are coming back anyways because of the new coaching staff, but that's just my opinion. So then here's where it kind of gets tricky, right? The 2021 draft, with the number 3 pick, we take Trey Lance. Let's just hypothetically say we take Trey Lance, quarterback, out of North Dakota State. We sit him on a roster. 2022 rolls around. Now look at this. Now you say $16.5 million. My apologies. That's not Julio. That's Grady. So now you look at Julio, and then look where his cap number is at, 19.2 mil. His dead cap is now 15 mil. But with Julio, you have the flexibility now of you kind of designating him as a June 1 cut. You can kind of push that with the remainder of his guaranteed money, which is $15.5 million. That's how much money Julio has remaining guaranteed on his contract. You can split that, push that into the future, and save $11.5 million for 2022. So we're just going to do that real quick. All right. And then we're going to look at some other players on this roster that we might move. Maybe whoever takes over wants to move on from Tyler Davidson. It's life is hard out here for one text. So we're going to cut Davidson. Plus, we still got Sanat. Deidre Sanat should still be on the contract, I believe. No. Sanat was a free agent in 2021. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, but they could probably move on from Davidson, man. You can find one text pretty much anywhere. So Davidson is pretty much gone. I think they're also going to move on from Fowler Jr., man, unless he can somehow bounce back. I think Fowler Jr. is gone too. But look at this. 2022, $76.2 million, right? This is also ironic because this is the year where Ridley's 5th-year option is going to come into place. So he's going to have a 5th-year option. as well. This is also going to be, if I'm not mistaken, this is also year 4, I believe, of Caleb McGarry and Chris Lindstrom. So again, man, year 4, those are two guys that either you're gonna pay both of them, you're gonna pay one of them, somebody's gonna leave, wherever the case may be. You know what I mean? So things are starting to get tricky. It's also going to be interesting to see what they do with Deion Jones. I think he more so um, factors into being more of a guy who would probably slide over to the weak side of formation. Man, I wouldn't necessarily have him as my Mike. It's nothing really against him. I just don't think that that's naturally where he should be at. I think the new coaching staff is going to come in and see that as well. So it'll be interesting to see how much they value Deion Jones, man, if they'll try to move him as well, right? But this year, 2022, is interesting because for the first time, uh, you can actually float with the idea potentially of moving on from Matt Ryan. You could designate him as a June 1 cut, say $23 million, and you can lower his cap hit from $46.3 million to a dead cap hit of $17.9 million. So realistically, if you wanted to get Matt Ryan out the door, if his performance sinks or whatnot, you can get rid of him and Julio after 2021. So let's just say in a world where Matt Ryan is the guy that he is, he figures it out, he's balling. You could just keep him on the roster, man. He's rolling 2023. He's already under contract. So you know what I mean? That'll give your young quarterback 3 years to sit behind Matt Ryan because he's still performing at a high level. You don't have to get rid of him until 2023 if you wanted to do that. But these are just these are just some things to kind of think about when you're talking about the cap, man. You can't move Julio or Matt this year. Um, this is something that has to be done around 2022. You know, I know, there's been talk about rebuilders and stuff like that, but the reality is if the Falcons are going to kind of retool the roster a little bit, they're going to lay the foundation down in the year 2021 via the draft. They're going to draft some guys that are going to be the future of the team, and they're going to kind of start working from there. And they're going to have to slowly start moving a lot of these big contracts out of the way. Uh, you know, right now the biggest hurdle right now is getting past 2021. We don't know if this is going to be the cap number for 2021. It hasn't officially been announced yet, but this is just an estimation based off of the loss of revenue from COVID-19 and whatnot. Uh, and it's just one of those things. But after 2021, we fully expect for the cap to go back up once fans are allowed in the stadiums and whatnot. NFL revenue should return to normal, and thus the cap will also reflect that as well. Uh, but again, man, it's been the Real Pat, man. Hopefully this video is not too long, man, to kind of explain to you guys, uh, who you can move, how you're gonna move them, whatever the case may be. Again, man, you can find me on Twitter at the Real Pat, man. If you guys have any questions, man, you can always hit me up. You can DM me, whatever the case may be. And I will definitely do whatever I can to answer your question, man. I appreciate your time.